Mute. And volume. You can go full board. Just in case you missed it, folks, this is being recorded. Behave yourselves accordingly.
I don't have to watch what I say about Tony, do
Oh, definitely. That's it.
I? Oh, that's good. So it worked out well.
And I'm keeping it that way.
So on your other side, you claimed you were deaf in that ear too.
No. I gotta listen to the boss. Not that he listens. Claims he's listening. Don't teach you saying that I can't talk.
That's right.
Non-speaking role. Okay, we've got 7:30. Let's have the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Perino. Mr. Datley.
Here.
Mr. Harney.
Here.
Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Nimitz. Okay, we have 4 trustees in attendance, 2 absent. We do have a quorum for the meeting. And according to the governor's gubernatorial proclamation, we can have a remote meeting. However, this evening, everyone is in the building and is present. Those that are absent are absent. No one is attending remotely this evening. However, the meeting is being recorded. All right, minutes. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes of December 6, 2021?
So moved, Diatley.
Second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Hoffman. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion so carried. As there are no remotes, I'm not calling roll call votes tonight, except for monetary issues. You got that? Buckle up, people.
Aye.
Okay, president's report. Because all of a sudden my notes just disappeared. Let me go to mine. I got one too. Well, this is it's drafted. This is correct. It doesn't have the.
It doesn't have all
it
the
doesn't have
other
P and
items.
Z. Because the next item on my agenda was P and Z. Wait. You all know we need a couple of members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. This evening, I would like to make 2 appointments to the Planning and Zoning. The first one is Eric Waters. Eric is here with us this evening. He's been a resident of the village
3.5 years.
3.5 years now. Resides on the east side over on Acorn. He is familiar with the Valley area as he used to teach at Jacobs High School, and he is currently a policeman with Lake in the Hills. He has also stepped up and offered to serve on our Planning and Zoning Commission. The other individual must have got held up at work this evening is Kevin Erickson. And Kevin lives over on the west side of town in Saddle Club on Hilltop. And he's also volunteered. He's been here about 18 months, 2 years. And he's also volunteered for the Planning and Zoning Commission. So without any further ado, I would entertain and appoint or a motion to appoint these 2 individuals to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Thorne, seconded by Harney to approve the appointments of Eric Waters and Kevin Erickson to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any questions or comments from the Board of Trustees? Eric is here. Do you have any questions for him?
I just say thank you.
Yeah.
Well, for volunteering, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, there being no other questions or comments, discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There being no negative votes, the motion so passes. Thank you, Kevin, or not, you're Eric. Kevin will probably walk through the door in just about a minute. Okay, thank you, Eric. The other item that did not make it to the agenda, but I will let you all know that on January 3rd, I will be appointing a new chairman to the Planning and Zoning Commission. As you all noted in the packet, in fact, Fuqua passed away last month. And taking his place will be Don Plass, who's here in the audience with us this evening. Don has been on the P and Z for a number of years now, probably what, about 10? I think I ran into you
longer
about
than that,
11
I
years
think.
ago.
Been here 13 years and I think I got volunteered right away.
I
mean,
I think-
I volunteered right away.
That's right.
Yeah, we let you have dinner first, didn't we?
That was it. And breakfast.
And then we said, but yeah, next meeting on the 3rd, I will have it on the agenda item as an action item to approve my appointment of Don as chair of the P and Z. Don stepped in this evening to say hi and meet with Eric.
Here.
Kevin comes in, he can meet with Kevin. Other than that, the only other item I've got is to announce the closure of the village hall to the public due to the COVID-19 concerns that have arisen lately. We will keep the village closed to the public through January 3rd. We will revisit this next year, January 3rd, our next meeting, and see whether or not we go forward from that point. But right now, we've got it closed through the 3rd. So, to the public. If there's any comments or questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm done with the president's report, clerk's report. I have no report tonight. Thank you, Tony. Planning and zoning. Mr. Plass, since you're here, would you like to say no report?
I will say, no report at this time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well done, well done.
Wow.
Well done.
That's a natural.
He's a natural.
Okay, next one is the attorney's report. The attorney's not with us this evening. I have no report for him. The next is engineering report. Mr. Steele is not with us, but he has noted that Schroeder Asphalt has submitted their final statement, and it has been included on the warrants, which we'll pick up later. The only thing we're waiting for, I believe, is for Schroeder to provide a copy of their certified payroll we need for our records. Nothing else for the engineers. Director report, Mr. Vane.
Warrants, in your packet, it's in the amount of $136,790.42. However, there was miscommunication between Jeff and myself, and we need to include the payment for Schroeder in this packet, so that the correct amount for the packet for the payables is $216,560.52. Basically, what it is because we don't have the certified payroll yet, we're going to hold on to the check until we get that. However, we want to have the check ready to go as soon as we get that payroll. So we need a motion for $216,560.52.
I make a motion that we pay the warrants of $216,560.52.
Second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Thorne to approve the warrants in the amount of $216,560.52. Additions, deletions, or corrections? Being none, roll call please.
Mr. Hoffman,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Okay, 4 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else, Eugene? That's it. All right, thank you, Eugene. Comments from the public. Anybody in the public wishing for comments? We have none this evening. We move to trustee reports, roads and parks, Mr. Harney.
Nothing for the record, but I will
add that Kyle would like help in wishing for snow because he doesn't know where he's gonna store the first load of salt. So if we could work on that,
All right.
Okay.
but
Do I hear a motion?
nothing new to, nothing new to report for the record.
We do have a motion requesting snow. All right, thank you, Ed. Finance, George.
Just a couple things, question. Last month, we had talked about West Dundee and their IT fees. And I think we were under the assumption when we left that it was a $3,000 cost for the year or something like that, but that's quarterly. We pay over $12,000 a year for that fee. And I just didn't want any, I guess, what I like to see from West Dundee is what's included in that. And I don't want to let this lie. You know, I mean, I've been on board now for 6 months or whatever, and we're paying X amount. I see that sign off every 3 months, you know, for 3,000 some odd dollars. And it's like me just passing a check to somebody. When I was in business, we didn't do stuff like that. I want something that documents what we're getting. And I'm not looking to ruffle the feathers or anything like that. I mean, this is just basic, you know, show us a contract that, you know, tells us what we're getting and let me see what it is. Otherwise, I think I'm going to have a challenge signing off on these in the future. I mean,
Just to bring you to speed, Mark and Eugene did meet with Mr. Spiro
okay.
during the
So do we
summer.
have something now?
There's something from originally.
The original.
Do we know where it's at?
I have a copy of the original agreement and stuff like that. However, we are getting more services than was originally agreed upon.
And I have no problem with that, but I just
Yes.
like to see what we're
Yeah.
signing off
Right.
on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
every 3 months, I get asked to sign off for $3,000, 3,000 plus, and I'd like to see what it is.
Yeah, we're getting more than we originally agreed to. And he's actually been very responsive, you know, of late.
Okay,
So,
But that is one of the things going forward. We want more details from.
Right.
If you look at it, it's basically what, a page and a half.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was a handshake.
It's a handshake thing.
Yeah.
You will for so much, you know, we will provide IT services.
not the
It's
kind,
hard to-
not the kind of agreement I'm used to.
Not the
I mean,
kind,
that's-
no.
that's-
So,
little
Where
different.
we were at that point, it's quite a step up.
Okay, and I noticed that they finally acknowledged, or they said that they killed the fax machine and there was something in a, so we were notified about that after the fact.
It was, so we switched over from a hardline telephone to the, was it the voice over internet protocol? And because we did that, the old fax machines don't work on that type of a system is what, you know.
Do we even need fax machines anymore? I mean, with a computer, pretty, you can scan and just,
So, you know, we talked about that situation with the police department when I was in Bensonville. And there are certain things that you do need a fax for. It's like healthcare is the big one, is that they don't do email, it has to be a fax. So there are certain industries or whatever that a fax is a mandatory still.
well, you can send a fax, for example, I can do
Right.
faxes with my phone.
Right, and that's what we're set up to do now.
Okay,
And so we select the fax machine as the printer and it pops up so that we can send it out.
okay. And then the other was, Corkle was what we talked about last month, correct, for the sign off on this? That's what I'm asking. And then the other that, I know we've got the large one with the Elgin, I know what that is. But the other one, Ferguson Waterworks, is that someone we deal off of all the time down in Chicago? Or is that there out in Chicago?
Yes. Ferguson is one of the suppliers of the meters. So that's probably, and some of the components that the guys use. So.
You know, Chicago, I don't trust them as far as I can throw. Anything that says Chicago on it, believe me, I'm gonna second.
I think a cheap one there. That's all.
What's that?
Just real quick, going back to the fax discussion, we do need access to a fax from the police department because we fax over leads cards and things like that to Qualcomm. If we send it in an email, they won't get it until the next morning, which means they can't take stolen out leads and things like that. So we do need access to a fax as well, so. The
Okay.
system we have will be.
And that's a good question while we're talking, Chief. Just a couple questions too, because when I go through, I see, what is scuff and buff?
Scuff and Buff?
Our cleaners.
There are cleaners.
For here?
Building, yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought it might have been a car. But we do have a maintenance. That's why I was wondering what the heck is
Kind of
Scuff and
scared
Buff?
me for a minute there.
Because I saw housekeeping too, but that's a separate one for Scuff and Buff. There's maintenance, it said maintenance, but then it said Scuff and Buff or something. And then there was another one, we also have like a car wash plan for the cars too, right? Okay, all right.
Yeah, the Swift watch.
No, I told you I'm digging in more, so now I'm getting more
Yeah,
comfortable.
we have
And
to stay up at night.
Now I'm gonna be-
Stuff.
But that one about West Dundee, I'm sorry, that just rattled me. I mean, and also, did we ever get that resolved, Eugene, with, how many months behind are we now?
4, 5.
It's gotta be 5, at least 5.
We're going to 5.
And we still haven't heard anything?
Yeah, we're going into, well, actually, we wouldn't normally get a December bill until January. But I don't anticipate us getting that, so it's 5 months.
Okay, so the question is, when this surfaces, and I'm sure I'd like to see when it comes in, what it is. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have to sign off on it. But if it comes in and it's astronomical, or they decide to do what that letter did, what you sent that letter a year ago, or whatever it was, we can challenge that, but will that in any way, shape, or form, could that impact our IT? See, that's why I'd like to see a separate agreement. These things can all come back to bite you.
Right, those are two separate.
I understand they are, but it's all West Dundee.
Right.
We get 2 separate bills. 2 different
Right,
bills.
but it's still, isn't
We're
Joe the
still
one that
dealing
heads
with
up
the
all
same
that? Doesn't Joe head up all that? Okay, question answered.
Mr. Cavallaro is,
Yes,
head on.
so it doesn't matter if they're two separate. If it comes to him, it's all one.
Right. Well, we're all one.
Yes.
I know everything from the street issues to the sewer issues to the IT issues.
And with that, not to raise a lot, but then everybody have a nice Christmas.
And I'll see you all next year.
That's all.
Okay, thank you, George. Next one, water and sewer. Joe is not with us this evening, but I know there's been a number of questions. Joe has been asking for the board to consider a rehab of the water system throughout the village. And George is saying he's from business where he wants to see action sooner rather than later. What we have got is a situation where the board needs to make a determination as to what we want to do. How far into this do we want to go? And get the estimates and the plans from the engineers.
The last month we had said we wanted to do, we're going to start piecemeal, right?
Well, right now, if we can do the whole thing. Because Jeff was talking about that EPA loan for 1.11%.
According to what I saw in the briefing that passed, we can utilize that, correct?
Right. We could apply for that. We can utilize the ARPA funds.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. yes.
For engineering. That's what we have finally been able to kind of, we don't have anybody saying, yes, you can. But from what we've seen, it says work toward improvement of. So if it's work for the improvement of, the engineering is part of the work. We've got to do the engineering to get the work done.
Did you ever get in
So-
touch with Suzanne from last?
Yes, I
month?
did.
Did she
And
elect not to come?
she did not, we lost a communication this past week somewhere in the last couple of days. But what she had told me is that when we decide what it is we as a board or as a village want to do, what we should do is come up either with a resolution or a letter of intent to her office. Her office will then contact DECO down in Springfield, and they will set up the file for our appropriation. This isn't a grant, this isn't a loan. The state has appropriated $200,000 for the village of Sleepy Hollow. So we have to go through the appropriation process. And DECO, once we tell them, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna spend the money for, she will start that file process. And then DECO will contact us or contact Eugene and, get all the paperwork. But we can't, that's 200,000 we can possibly use for engineering. We got 220 this year from ARPA. So that gives us 420,000 that right now we could use for engineering.
How much are the engineering fees going to be?
He was
Idea?
talking about $250,000. Now, he was basing that off of his estimate of 3.5 million in water repairs.
Total, right, for all the streets,
Well, yeah.
for the
that-
streets that we talked
Of
about.
the streets we were talking
Right.
about, what he was presenting last. week. So if we were to next January 3rd, get Joe in here and say, this is what we want. And all of us take a look at that. Do we want to go ahead and try and get water to places like Laurel Court, Rainbow Court, and Sharon? This is the time to do it. Tie all this stuff together. I mean, if there's a possibility of borrowing money at 1.1%,
We should do it.
we should do it. Because Eugene and I are working on this water meter thing that we did a couple of years ago. Prime at that point was 5%. So, you know, if we can get a loan at 1.11%.
But this isn't going to be the one that we spelled, I mean, we detailed last meeting. That's going to extend it out to 2024.
It could, yeah. It could. But then, you know, we've got this big pot of money and one big project to rock and roll with.
And in the interim, just hope we have no catastrophic failures.
But the engineer's report would be done.
But the engineer's report would be done.
And he said that would be good until that time.
And what this also
Yeah.
allows us to do is that if a grant comes up, because we are then shovel ready, we can apply for the grant. And so then it would cost the village nothing.
So with it going the way it is, how soon do we anticipate we can get the engineering
Couple months.
finalized?
Yeah.
So let's say by end of it, May 1st, we could have it done.
Yeah, we could,
If
could
we
have-
put a date on it, see, that's how I like to do it. Put a date and then work to that
And
date.
then what we can do is then break that off piecemeal based on the amount of cash we have to actually physically do the project.
Well, we've got 400,000 hopefully right now from what you said, right? We
We
got
got-
200 and the almost 200, so.
We got
Well-
220 plus the 200 from Nest, and then we've got another 220 coming
Next year.
on top of that.
Let's do the resolution and letter of intent. We have to do that at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what we want is, what all do we want to cover? Do, you know, Jeff,
We have to define it.
yeah, we got to define the scope.
And who does that?
Hmm?
Who will define that?
We do.
We do, all of
We
us,
do.
but Joe's the one that's leading this, right?
Yeah.
So we need him here. And is he gonna be here?
Here on the screen, yeah.
Okay.
The other
He would
is-
be with us this evening, but his son from Alaska just flew in with the grandkid. I don't know, this morning or last night, so.
The other issue along with this that he's going to want us to consider is increasing the demand fee for the water. However, my personal thing is I would rather wait on that till we have a better idea of what it's going to cost us, because we don't want to increase the demand fee and then have to come back, next year and say, well, we got to increase it again because we didn't calculate enough.
And what we were looking at, was it 25 or 45?
Well, he was talking about a $10 increase.
He was talking of going to 35.
to
Yeah, it
35
wasn't
from
10, it was a lot
25.
more than 10.
Yeah, it used to
No,
be
no,
22.
It's 25. He wanted $10 more.
Got to go to
so
35.
Go to 35.
I thought I thought they said maybe even 20. That way you don't have to come back at it 2 years from now, 5 years from now.
Well, that's where we could get time to put some of these numbers together. While, the engineer is working on his numbers, we could be looking at, the loan side of it, what we really need to charge our residents.
And if you need me to come in during the week to work with you with that, I'll help.
That's where we are at this point. First of the year, how far out do we want? Jeff will be here telling, the scope of the thing and have him get started. And then we'll have to approve the contract with him. I think he presented a basic contract last meeting. I have to check the December 6th. I think he had a contract in there.
actually got in here one day last week and got educated on the legalities of insurance. Spent some time with this guy over here.
Yeah, that's where we are. First of the year, we start popping this thing on down the line. That's it. The big one is that the engineering fees will go to ARPA. That will be shelf kept and it won't spoil.
And that way we can at least get some things accomplished. And then on the flip side of that, start educating the village and letting them know that, hey, we are accomplishing, this and that. And, even though we are landlocked and we don't have the revenue and all that, and, it's, I hate to say it, putting a shed in and getting a $15 permit fee isn't gonna do a damn thing.
I even did some quick numbers, a $10 increase, I think, is basically $136,000 a year
For what the
for the demand fee.
demand fee.
Yeah, so it's just a drop in the bucket.
Especially for what we need. And,
Yeah.
we've got some issues coming up too. I mean, right now, we're piecemealing the roads. And, now that more and more people are getting to realize I'm on the board now or a trustee, I keep getting asked, when are you gonna take care of this street? Or when are you gonna take care of that? I figure, well, good luck. Come sit in a couple of meetings and find out what the real world's like.
Not what you're supposed to say is talk to Ed.
Talk to Deb. Just talk to Deb.
No, I don't have to. I look at these sheets twice a month. They've taught me a lot.
Okay. Any other questions for the water and sewer? Gonna be moving quite rapidly after the first year here. Okay,
That's good. Thank you.
sure thing. Next item, police and public safety, Mr. Dantley.
Several things that you see in your packet, some of them are just procedural, but first I would like to make a motion that we move part-time officer Fidel Garcia to a full-time position at a salary of $52,147. This was because Officer Chris Shafansky has resigned as of December 26th.
Second. Moved by Diatley, seconded by Harney to change the employment status of Fidel Garcia from part-time to full-time with a annual salary of 52,000 and what was the change?
147.
147. Any comments, questions, or discussion?
I got one question, Chief. With what we've seen in the past, I mean, just what I've come across where some of our officers left that still had, we paid for the training and other components and all that. And I know he's resigning, which I mean, he's leaving December 26th, giving us plenty of time, notice, I guess, and all that. Anything there we got to be concerned about or anything with any kind of payback or anything?
The employment agreement still is in effect.
Oh, it is.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on the appointment, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so carries. And so it goes from part-time to full-time.
Thank you. Next thing is need approval, make a motion to give chief the approval to appoint an acting sergeant while Sergeant Wilson is out on leave at a rate of $31 per hour.
Second,
Second.
moved by Diatley, seconded by Thorne to authorize the chief to appoint an acting sergeant as needed at a rate of $31 per hour. Any comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so carries. Next item.
Yes, the next item is, you'll see, since Sergeant Wilson's going to be out, Officer Jerry Gardine has agreed to move his vacation time. So we don't have 2 officers out at the same time. And in order to do that, we need to approve that because it will carry into the next anniversary year for him. So it's a procedural thing. And it really helps us out by him, allowing him to move that forward.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the carryover of Jerry Nordon's vacation time.
Yeah, I'll make the note.
Second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Hoffman to authorize the extension of the vacation into, or the carryover of vacation into the next fiscal year for Officer Nordan. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, once again, this deals with money, please. Roll call.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney. Mr. Hoffman,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and motion so carries. Any other items?
Chief, you have anything you need to add or?
You got 4 there, you got about 3.
We do have 2 officers in, I guess, in our own COVID protocol right now as well. So that's kind of taxing our resources a little bit. But we'll make it work like we've done in the past.
How are they doing?
They're doing okay. One a little bit worse than the other. But I talked to both, one today and one yesterday, so.
Item 3, Steve. I got 4 items for you.
I tied 2 of them together.
Oh, okay.
I tied the salary and.
All right, you did that with the acting sergeant. Okay, that's why I was, I counted 3 items. I'm just counting 4 on the agenda. All right, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Steve. Public buildings and environment, Mr. Thorne.
No report.
Thank you, Tom. Mark, building and zoning, Anthony. He's not here. He's not here, but he's got an item. Ms. Detmer's here in his behalf.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for letting me join you this evening. I just wanted to update you on a change, so to speak, in what we're doing. In 1993, when we started our company, everybody who was in a different area code had to pay long distance fees to call into us. And so to try and help people out, we established a piggyback, so to speak, toll-free number in order for people to call in without charge. However, in this day and age of technology and the way it goes, I don't think anybody pays long distance fees. And while it's slight, it charges us $27 a month just for the piggyback fee plus the per call charge. And so based on that, we're not changing our level of service. So this termination of phone service is not quite correct. What we're changing is we're going to be terminating the toll-free number for calling in inspections. It'll just go to our direct. They're one and the same in the 630-551 ICCI or 4224-877-551-4224. We're just eliminating that 877 opportunity for people because get maybe 15 to 20 calls. So the vast number, I mean, I used to get pages and pages of calls, and this is just one way of, so to speak, tightening the budget, as I'm sure you're all aware of, without impacting service. So, and then the only other thing is basically for the past 25 years, we've always closed during the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. So we're technically going to be closed effective Friday, reopening on Monday the 3rd. We will obviously respond to any emergencies that might come about. And because one poor soul in this village has been waiting almost 7 months for their windows, we're going to be doing 33 window inspection in the middle of the month or in the middle of the week. So, but they coordinated that with us about 2 weeks ago. So we will be here that day, and obviously we're going to be in the vicinity. It's not like we're going to be out of the country or anything, but we just wanted you folks to be aware of it for the slight change that it's going to happen. So but that's it. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, other building and zoning, move on to old business, and the old business to come before the board. business come before the board, we go into the new business. Under new business, we have resolution number 542. Resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Fox River Water Reclamation District regarding certain properties to be annexed by the city of Elgin and the district. We have, if you all recall, a couple months ago, we signed off on the intergovernmental agreement with Elgin on some property down by Toll Gate Road. Well, that was in our planning area. Now forward, Fox River Water Reclamation District wants official recognition from us that we're giving up that property to Elgin. It will no longer be in our facility planning. So that's what resolution 542 is regarding to. We'll probably end up doing this again shortly with Randy's Market across Randall Road. That will also go to Elgin and they're back into forward too. So.
Which piece was that by the tollway? I don't know if I was here then.
You'd have to
Toll Gate.
go on Toll Gate Road and run it all the way down to the end and it becomes a cul-de-sac. And they bought all those houses in the cul-de-sac
Okay,
and some vacant property behind them. We're not even contiguous to it at this point.
okay.
Frontenac would have to come in before we could touch it. The intergovernmental agreement with Elgin gives everything north of the tollway to us as opposed to Elgin.
Okay.
So, now these people wanted that and we had no way to service them. So we just gave it back to Elgin at that point.
Okay.
So, we did set up a tax sharing agreement with them should they do something with that property. What they're saying they're gonna do with it, it's one of these pro-logistic people, warehousing
Yeah.
operations, is what they've said is going to end there. If it increases the property value, we will get a small portion of that. If they go into any type of sales that collects retail, sales tax, then we will ask for a portion of that too.
Okay.
So, what we agreed with, and that's what this is giving back to the forward is that, we no longer will take over that property. We're having a motion to approve resolution 542.
So moved. Second, yeah.
Moved by Harney, seconded by Diatley to approve resolution 542, resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with forward regarding the properties annexed by the city of Elgin. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Natalie,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so passes. Okay. The next item under new business. No, you can stay here. The evaluation of the director of finance. As of this month, Eugene has been with us for 6 months. And at the last meeting, we all went through the audit, which he had got to carry the ball for, which he had nothing to do with the paperwork on.
What a guy.
He had. And we came out darn good at it. But at the bottom line of it, if you all recall, if you look at your budget for this year, we did not have a salary for Eugene's position. Because we did not have it. Instead, we had a contract with LNA for services during. That contract with LNA was for $72,000. Eugene came with us for $65,000. My proposition this evening is that we've got another $7,000 in the budget for the LNA that is not going to be used. We give that to Eugene.
Whether we have it or not, let's find it.
Yeah.
We got it.
I speak for everybody on the board, and
Yep.
he sits next to me.
Wait a minute, I went to buy some grass seed or
Ever
stuff.
since Eugene showed up, what a pleasure, hasn't that been? So thank you. He's worth every penny, Greg, and more. But we'll wait on
I understand. I didn't want to leave that 7 on the table. In 6 months, he has stepped up and we should give it to him other than let we go back into the general fund.
Yep.
So.
And you're also educating yourself on the ins and outs of the business too, especially with some of the training you've gotten. So got to compliment you there.
Yeah, we take credit cards now.
It's true.
Yeah, and the next thing is people are asking, when can they do, like bank direct payments?
Oh,
That's expensive. Expensive.
with that, I would just like a motion to authorize the increase in Eugene's salary from $65,000 to $72,000 effective immediately.
So moved.
Second, yeah.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Diatley. Any comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
All right.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
No further votes, no negative votes, the motion so passes. All right, any other new business to come before the board?
Quick question for the chief.
Sure.
Do we have a heavy truck problem on Sleepy Hollow Road?
No, this has been brought up several times. And I usually, when I have to answer that question, I go to my heaviest ticket writer.
Okay.
And I'll ask him, how many tickets have you written for trucks on Sleepy Hollow Road? And he's written 2
Okay.
on Sleepy Hollow Road in the last couple of years. So no, we don't. And I've spent a lot of time up and down Sleepy Hollow Road myself. I've seen 5 trucks total since I've been here in May. 4 of them I followed to a resident's home that they were doing it with.
Okay.
Now, to piggyback on that, what I mentioned is, I've seen that one more time, but have you ever checked Acorn,
Oh,
Acorn Drive? Might want
The
to
one-
check that in the morning, early morning at times, like tell you
That's the one
guys to
that's
ride
got
by
the-
between 7 in the morning and 9 or so. But I've had a couple neighbors ask me, this was a couple months, I didn't follow up with them, but I saw it twice now, but not only, and I'm talking a 40 or 53-foot rig, 40-foot rig.
yeah.
And looks like they're dropping off. They must be running a business out of this place because
Air conditioning.
they drop
heaters.
off all kinds of Lennox and looks like Maytag and it looks like furnace, HVAC systems and whatever else. And, if he's running a business, it's fine. Give us a piece of it. It's a retail. That's all I want. I mean, that's legitimate. I'm serious. This village is in dire need of getting additional revenue. And if he's running a business out of the house, then let's get a portion of it. But 40-foot trailers and 26-footers all the time, they're a little big.
Okay.
No. Matter of fact, you're an Acorn, aren't you? Did you say Acorn? I don't know if you've ever seen that or not. No?
No, just the guy that does, there's a guy redoing his house across the street, and they have like Menards trucks with the little skid steer on the back. That's probably the one.
No, I'm talking a place that lit up like a castle at night at times. The one couple doors down or whatever it is, or somewhere. But yeah, you might want to check. I know that was brought to my attention. 3 neighbors come over to me and asked me, what was that, a couple months, a month
That was
ago?
about 6 weeks or so ago.
About 6 weeks or so ago, they came down to me and said, can you follow up on this? I said, well, that's not part of I'll follow up.
Ed, tell them to talk to Ed.
Okay. So Ed, you're gonna get them next time.
Rose. See, what you gotta do is stop and think, what's the primary question you need to? If it's roads, it's Ed. If it's water, it's Joe.
There you go. So this is roads. They're coming to you now, not me.
I've got your number.
So then I don't have to worry about it. Just go.
I'm just gonna say, here's the phone number. Call this guy.
Okay, any other new business? No new business come before the board,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Those opposed, we are adjourned. Boy, it's much quicker than having to have a roll call adjourn.
Eugene, I'll give you these checks
What,
and I'll
you-
sign
you
off on
said all
these.
the delay
Can
is
I
for me?
POs review along with these and get them back to you tomorrow? Or do you need these POs right now?
We can need the POs because
Okay.
they kind of go along with the checks.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Technically,
Dear
we can't
God.
send out the check until the PO is approved.
You too.
Ah, okay. I wasn't sure when you had you.